Good morning, everyone, and welcome to GPA Trading Services live trading class on this Tuesday, February the 4th, 2025. As you know, today is Tuesday, Gary's Market Forecast, or GMF. It's the heads up on what's going down in the markets. But first, we have very specific rules of engagement. Those include the following. Do not trade with money you cannot afford to lose. Always trade with protective stops. Make certain the 4-hour, the 1-hour, the 30, and the 15-minute time frames align prior to trading with the MPA PE5 version 5.0 software. Also adhere to very strict money management rules, which includes never risking more than 2% of your entire account balance on any one given trade. For options friends, never risk more than 5% of your entire account balance on any one given options trade. And finally, all information provided by GPA Trading Services is for your educational purposes. So please give us a moment as we open up the charts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, picking up with the dollar index on the monthly chart. How about that big wick the other day for the, tariffs. Not a shocker to anyone? Tariffs. Push this up, and then now it's retracing already back down. Last month was total indecision. Look at that perfect little doji right here. We got a wick up, close, wick down, close, pretty much did nothing. And now this from yesterday got a big spike up, and now it's retracing, still holding that 618 retracement from the prior high to the low. That is a 618 retracement, and so far it's holding. Jumping over to the charting platform, this looks like a big rejection wick up here. Ramped up, instantly came down. I love how the talking heads always have to give a reason. Well, it was DeepSeek. That's what it is, Emil. It's DeepSeek, and all the AI specialists out there, they all know that the market sold off because of DeepSeek. Oh, yeah. Then it was, no, it's the tariffs. I knew it. I knew it. Trump gets in and does tariffs. It's going to destroy the economy. And it's just insane what these people say. And none of them have a clue. All these evaluations are way overvalued, and we need that correction. So the market correct, even the crypto, I kept telling we need a flush. We need a flush. Is that flush over? Maybe. Do we need an additional flush before it's done? But I still think the markets will go higher, and I still think this is still coming down toward the daily EMA here, which we call the magic Fibbo line. So I still think we're going to get a flush, this big pop. It went right to the 618, 786 and got a little feisty, still at a lower high. But look where that candle closed. Not only below the 618, below the 50% retracement. Then what happened yesterday? Overnight, we kind of rallied right back to the 618, reiterating that this high, this low. And remember last week or so, I kind of said, we're probably going to retrace back toward the 618, fail, and then start drifting back lower again. Let's see how that plays out. So James, I'm still thinking we're going down to this level. At that point, do we continue to break down, or do we bounce and go higher? Or do we just kind of bounce, make a different 618 retracement, and still continue lower? I definitely think we're headed here. So we've been talking about the euro and the pound potentially going up several hundred pips. Jump in the euro real quick. And we did get a big squeeze out. We rallied up several hundred pips, got a big flush down here. Now it looks like we're still holding. Look at the 618. Big rejection wick. Next day, tried to reduce it again. We're still back above. So this is why I still think we're in the process of heading up here. And is this the end, or do we still go lower? This may be the end. Now that we got a higher low, that's still bullish. Question is, once we get up here, what happens? Do we come back down, or do we start breaking out? Well, you know the rule that up and until from the prior high to the low, we have to go breaking this 108 area, this box. So we got to break back above the magic Fibbo line and start clearing this 108, 108-ish area. Then we can start to focus on 113, 115, 113.60, 114.95, basically 115. So keep that in mind that this is an opportunity to go higher, but it doesn't mean that this is a given, that stair step, we just keep going till we get up here. We may get this, another 618 retracement, continuation, or it's possible we can rally up into this area and still flush down one more time. So we'll keep a keen eye on that. But for now, the software's setting up, right? I don't do anything without the software. So coming over here to the euro, we can see that the 4-hour reversed again. Trigger higher. When you get oversold, you get these triggers that fire, getting you an entry point to go long, like we had over here, and this is telling us that this is another scalping opportunity. The daily ended up turning over, but as I was painting the Picasso from last week, we're more likely going to see the daily start slingshotting up as opposed to cycling down. Even though price came close, we're still at a higher low, which again is still bullish. And why do we think the daily was more than likely going to start slingshotting up? Because the weekly was up and it's still up. So this is why I don't give up. When I see these flushes, it's kind of like, okay, price is going the wrong way. Weekly's up, trend momentum cross. We're likely going to see further upside. Our daily, when a weekly hooks and crosses, the daily cycles. And remember, I said up here last week that red and blue is not a cycle for the PAI. You have to get red, blue, and green money flow. And it was shy of the cycle. Trend momentum made it, red and blue of the PAI made it, but money flow was shy. So that's why I was saying last week that we're likely going to see this daily turn over to slingshot higher as opposed to cycle back down. So far, so good. And if the dollar keeps declining, this is going to keep rallying. So this is why I still think we're headed up here. Not a bad call when we discussed that weeks ago, when this was going to rally towards this magic Fibbo line. And I still think that's where we're headed. And at the charting platform, we did get a big wick, but look at that rejection. And basically, we got that trend line that we broke going higher. We reached the resistance level to get a pullback. This was over exaggerated with the quick pop in the dollar, but you can see the dollar is still reversing back lower and the euro's catching back up. So I would not be surprised, hint, 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 that this grinds higher and continues this journey toward this 106 area. Pound dollar, same thing. We got a nice rally up, hundreds of pips. We got the big rejection wick. Look where we closed. We closed back above that battle zone, even though we wicked way down. So Emil, James, Ian, all of our members, this is why I always talk about it. What's important is not the wick so much when you're talking about price act, it's where it closes. So this is still bullish. So I think we're stair-stepping higher on this one as well. And of course, the software is even more screaming, we got to go higher. Because look at this daily. It not only wasn't close to finishing, like the euro, red and blue made it, but money flow was way up here. Look at this one, barely halfway. And this trend momentum last week when we discussed that wasn't quite finished either. So this is why I still think we're going higher. Look for us to make a move toward that 126-ish, maybe 127 level. And look at this magic of the weekly hook and a cross. When a weekly hooks and crosses from oversold in this example, we were deeply oversold, got a beautiful trigger to go long. And when this hooked and crossed, we got slope, we have angle separation. What does that mean? That means we have the highest of highest probability this daily is going to cycle. So again, what is a cycle? PAI cycle? Red, blue, and green, all three have to cycle, and at least trend momentum one, which is the red and green here. A lot of times it's both trend momentum one and two. So if several things, weekly hooking across means the daily going to cycle. So Emil, when you see this going up long, you see a nice little dip, and it's like, wait a minute, we didn't finish the cycle. My weekly's still up. That's opportunities to buy dips. And I kind of said it last week, keep buying the dips until we at least get up here to the magic Fibbo line. Next up, you can see Ichimoku cloud. Some people like Ichimoku, some don't. I like it because it's a visual aid. And we found that whenever you're below the cloud and you know a time frame is going to cycle, how do we know? Well, my weekly started a hook and cross. We got a slope, angle, separation, hook, cross. That's a PAI hook, trend momentum cross. It's magical. It's magically delicious. So when you see that, that tells you days and days and days, even weeks in advance, that this daily is going to cycle. Why is that important? Because on average, it takes about 2 to 5 weeks for a daily to cycle. And you can see we've been in it several weeks already based on each daily candle. So it's 2 to 5 weeks. So when that weekly hooked and crossed, we knew we still have days longer that this thing should continue to grind up toward this area. When you're below the cloud and you know a time frame is going to cycle, like in this example, the daily is expected to cycle. It's not finished. And price is likely to do what? Get sucked and pulled into the cloud like a heat-seeking missile toward that magic Fibbo line. So that's why I still think we're headed up into the 126, 127 level, and we're at 124.50, so it's still a few hundred more pips to get up there. And look how we're starting to engage, disengage. That's just typical signs and symptoms while this daily continues to cycle in the direction of the weekly hooking across. So coming back to the charting platform, you can expect highest probability we're going to get up here. So it's not expected when it says, well, it's going to go to the magic Fibbo line, it has to take a day or two. Because remember, a daily cycle takes about 2 to 5 weeks. So this is why I keep buying the dips until we get up here. Next question is, do we, from the low to the high, when we get up to the magic Fibbo line, do we do a 618 retracement to continue higher? Do we just go ripping above? This would be very bullish. We get up here, we go popping, we come back, retest it to continuation, going much higher. 130, 131, 133, 135? Or do we get this retracement to 618, then a continuation? Or perhaps we get a rejection and we still got to go lower. So it's too early to call this as a bottom reversal other than scalping toward the magic Fibbo line. We discussed that. But is this going to be over and we go lower, or are we going to keep going? So the same rule from the high to the low, we not only have to get above the magic Fibbo line, the magic Fibbo line right there, this line right there. Once we get above that, we still have to get above this one area over here, this 129. From this high to this current low, we need to get above this area, not only a magic Fibbo line, but roughly above that 129. We do that, and it's game on. 136, 138. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of pips more. So Emil, when do we call this rally a bottom reversal and we just keep stair-stepping higher and higher when we take out this 129 area? See it? So first thing that becomes bullish is we break above this magic Fibbo line. Then we continue to close above that 129, say 50, 129.50. Then we could say 75% chance we're going to go up another 700 pips toward this 136.30 area. and 70 plus plus, we're going to go towards that 138. But this is why when you get in this, you're in a position of authority, and we need to be sure we take profits when we get near this magic Fibbo line, because likely we're probably turned down at least for a 618 retracement in a stair step scenario. And even possible, we could even flush even lower and make yet another new lower low as we grind even further. All right. But that's why you get the software set up. We got the hook and across. We know the daily's going to cycle. And this is why we said a long time ago that this would go up toward the magic Fibbo line. And looking at our software, that's the beauty of this. You could set this automatic trade manager in advance. You come over here to your expert advisor, and when you go in there, you set up the parameters, tell it what you want it to do. So I can tell it where my stop loss take profits will be. And do we buy trigger long, trigger shorts, these phenomena called slingshots, long, short, and then type of trigger, position, scalper, optimize. Well, these are always going to stay true because any trigger is a good trigger. And when do we get triggers? When the PAI and the trend momentum get to extreme. They will not fire without being at extremes. When this was extremely overbought, got a trigger down. When they're extremely oversold, we get a trigger up. And these will always fire accordingly. So why is that important? Weeks ago, we talked about setting this trade management system in advance. Why I could do it days and days in advance on a daily chart to tell them, I want you to buy this daily when the trigger long. That's why you go over here to your expert advisor and you tell it what you want it to do. This is not a trading bot where it just enters trades and closes, enters, closes. It enters, it manages the entire process, but you have to tell it what to do. That's by design. So when I'm in here, I told it to buy the trigger long. And then when it gets to this point, it will automatically enter. The great news is I could set that days or weeks in advance. What if I'm trying to do it for a weekly time frame over here, or we're doing it for a monthly time frame? Well, I could set that baby weeks in advance, months in advance to tell it to buy when I'm ready. And it will sit there in this ready to trade mode. Amen. There you have it. So our weekly told us we were getting oversold and for a bounce. When the weekly hooked and crossed, that told us the daily was going to cycle. It's still cycling. That's how you make hundreds of pips automatically. And once it enters, it puts your stop loss, take profits. You hit your first take profit, it moves your stop loss into profit automatically. On-screen programming. All right. So where are we going? I still think we're going up here, then we'll reassess. So keep going. This is going to go higher, hint, hint, hint. And like we were just discussing, that dollar index is due to go lower. That's a massive rejection wick. It did a what? 618 retracement, couldn't even hold it and closed way down here. Tried it again, went to a 618 retracement, failed. This is extremely bearish, and we're going to go down here. So I said it weeks ago, and here it is weeks later, and we're en route, turn by turn GPS coordinate. And we've almost told you during this period of heading toward this magic Fibbo line, we're likely due for a retracement to a 618 area, drew this box up here way in advance, only to get rejected. And I think we're headed down. So as we continue to decline in a stair-stepping fashion, that euro is going to continue to climb higher. The pound dollar is going to continue to climb higher as this dollar index continues to go lower. Everybody good? So far, so good. So what's next? Well, again, we can't say that this high over here is it and we're done. When they start talking about this tariffs, it strengthens the dollar, as you can see, even the mention of tariffs. And why is it selling back off? Well, they come to an agreement, give 30 days, and all he wants to do is shut the borders down to stop all this fentanyl and drugs and illegal immigrants and everybody from crossing. It's not good. Hundreds of thousands of people die every year from fentanyl poisoning. It's insane. That's worse than a country coming over here and raiding us and starting war. That is war. So when he wants to shut down the borders, that's a good thing. Shut down that fentanyl. And by threatening with those tariffs, you see how they're sending their troops to the border. Mexico wasn't going to do it, but yes, they are. And then Canada wasn't going to do it, but they're even sending their troops. So that's a good thing. And hopefully, you can get rid of all that poison. I digress. But where's that going, Emil? Mr. Tucson? I think we're going down here. Now, if we're able to break this magic fibble line, that becomes another bearish sign. And we take out this 103.90 area, which is a 618 from where? The swing point low to the current swing point high. We start closing below that 103.90 area. Then it sets the tone at a 75%. We're going to 98.80, and a 70 plus we're going to this 96.68 level right there. See it? So that's when I can start to say, well, this retracement is over and we're breaking down when we start to see price take out this 103.90 area. So first things first, we're going to get down here. Do we break, retest, and continuation? Or do we come down here, bounce, do another 618 retracement? Then we continue to fall. But a good sign is when you break this magic fibble line and then it turns it from support into resistance. Like here, we broke down, then we broke above, came back, tested a support. That's what prompted this run, as we were expecting. Now, if we can break it and we break this 103.90, then the door is ajar to go much lower, many points lower, from 103 down to 98. You're talking a good 5-point drop. Well, guess what the euro is going to do if this says we're going 5 more points down here? The euro is going to do that much more to the upside. So go to the euro, inverse relationship. So we started breaking above this magic fibble line, and then we take out that 108. Then we're 75% chance we're going this 113.60. 70 plus we're going this 114.95. So you can see that's hundreds of more pips. This is extremely high probability. That's why we let the software set up and use the turn-by-turn GPS coordinates of where price is likely to go and ultimately where it's headed. So first things first, we got to get up here. Next, we got to break it. Then we got to start closing above, not a wick, but a candle body above this 108 and change. Then we could say 75%, we're going to go to 136, 113, sorry. So that's a good 500 plus pip run up there. Just like the dollar index would drop a good 5 points, this thing's going to go ripping that much higher. And even the pound. Well, when do we start breaking above this? Well, we got to go a little bit further from that prior high to low, that high to this low. That 618 is right there, 129 and change. So if we not only break the magic fibble line, we start closing above 129 and change, then it's a 75% chance we go into 136. That's a 700 pip move. Got it? So there you have it. Looking at this. Dollar yen. Still think the dollar yen is going to break down further. I still think there's more downside to be had on this before we get another big run up. I'm still looking for opportunities. I took profits, Mr. Tucson, and I'd love for this to come make a new low over here, somewhere down in this area. And I know that's a long way, but I'd love to see a new low to set the tone. This looks like from that prior high, we got an A, B, maybe C playing out. And man, Emil, we can get down here around this 130s-ish down here. We get down there, then I like buying again and letting this thing go and run massive amounts again. So this concerning, after we got that big run, we got a 3-wave correction here. That's not bullish. Obviously, if this was going to be a reversal to new highs, This would have been more in a three wave, 1, 2. Third wave would have extended. Fourth wave would not have come back into the area of this wave 1 top. And look at this. If this is 1, 2, that's 3. Look how this has already come back into this area. So this is telling and screaming, right, Mr. Tucson? We need more downside. Amen? We definitely need more downside because this is corrective. This doesn't look, and you can say, well, what if this is a 1, 2 and another 1, 2? That's still possible and we go bullish, but it just doesn't look right. Too much overlapping, chopping, grinding, grunting. So if this would be a 1, 2 and another 1, 2, look at all that overlapping. Not feeling it. So like I said the other week, I think we're at least going to come back to the magic Fibbo line. We don't hold that. The door's ajar to go down to 147, 145. When we break what? The 618 from the prior low to high. 618 right around that 152. A little bit to go. When we start breaking the magic Fibbo line, then Houston, we have a problem. We got a 75% chance we're going to 147, 70 plus we're going to this 145.80 area. So that's why I said we're at least due to do that. And this is why we keep grinding and stair stepping toward that target. Amen. I'm not looking to buy the dip yet. I want to see if we start breaking this. Then we got these targets. They don't hold. Then we got this. That doesn't hold. Then I really start to salivate if we can make a new swing point low. And this ends up being an A, a B, a C. Then I get extremely bullish. So there are times when you read, interpret price that things look good. Well, we peg this move and we peg that move, this bigger move, we peg that. But then I was telling you, this is likely needs, maybe that's the C down. Then we get part of that A, B, C, and then we go full blown bull again for probably thousands of more pips. Amen. So we'll see how that plays out. In the short term, look for this to correct further. All right, at least to the magic Fibbo line. And we can't hold that 152 area. And we start seeing a candle body close below 152, then it's in below the magic Fibbo line, then it's continuation down to 147, 145. That doesn't hold, then 142. That doesn't hold, then we're likely going to make a new swing point low, and that's when I start to salivate to buy that dip again. Any questions on that? All righty, what has happened since last week? Well, we have, and this one over here, remember the heat map? I was kind of telling you, we're due for a pullback, and we're likely going to start to see this start changing colors from the greens to the purples and the reds, and maybe the maroons. So is it the tariffs? Is it DeepSeek? What's doing it? Technical picture, we've been on a rampage to the upside and we needed the correction. So we do have some releases this week, and not to say that the release is going to do it all. Let's go over here to our calendar. It's where's my calendar? Over here. There's the calendar. And let me get that out of the way. What did I just do? What happened to my calendar? Drought. Did I just close it? That's okay. I got a calendar over here that should still be open. Calendar. So this week, come back up to the current week in February. This week, we have not too much on the horizon. Little ISM manufacturing came in line, a little slightly better than expected. And then later, we have some FOMC speakers. Remember, prior to this, I was like, they hadn't been speaking prior to the FOMC meeting. That's odd. So now they're starting to come out, talking heads. That could affect things. Goolsby, Bowman, Barkin. They're all starting to come out. Jefferson, look at them. There they are. I knew you couldn't keep them down too long. So we got some speakers coming up. And then we have Waller, Daly, Logan. They all got to get their chance to speak. But as far as releases, we don't have a whole lot of stuff other than the Fed speaks. And then on Friday, we do have unemployment, non-farm payroll. This could maybe shake things up a little bit. That potentially has an option to do something. And there a JOLTS report this week too. JOLTS, yeah, it is. Yes, JOLTS came out a little underwhelming. So this is kind of fitting the tone for a continuation. So far, I would basically look to the charts. Maybe we get a little something here, and maybe we get a little something with all those FOMC speakers, but not too much on the horizon. That's going to be earth shattering. So that brings us to the markets. And when we're looking at ES, we can see we did get a flush. I kind of warned you we're likely going to flush down here. We so far had a higher low. So keep this in mind. We're coming here and likely even going lower sooner than later, but no later than later. Are we going to go up and make all-time new highs, get up to the 62, 62.50 area? Then we get the bigger flush? Or is this part of that overlapping action? We get a flush to then reverse. So I mean, I've been kind of doing the charts, looking at this and saying, where are we going? And when are we going to get the big flush? Well, if you look at the daily, we're right around that 58, 57, 5800 area where the magic Fibbo line is. Look at a 3-day. I think there's a 3-day in here somewhere. Well, weekly is down here right around that 5,000 range. So this is what I think is going to kind of happen. Either we flush down now or we go up and make that 6,200 level. Then we get a flush down about 5,000 to bounce and make one last push to maybe at 65, 66. Before then, we get the big flush. So notice where the magic Fibbo line is. We're coming down to the daily and probably even going to push the daily and maybe even start coming toward the weekly. At some point, we're going to get that. Then we go ripping up, probably making all-time highs again, probably toward that 64, 65, maybe 66 level. Then we're going to get the flush where we go below 4,000. So I stated that before we ever break 7,000 up here, we were going to break 4,000. But we still need some flushes along the way. Is it the daily flush, then we go out and do it? Or do we get a weekly flush, then we go up, and then we get the bigger flush? Well, guess what's below 4,000? The magic Fibbo line is below the 4,000 on the monthly chart. So this is what I think we're going to do. Here's the monthly. And look at where it's located. Way down here in that 34. Look at my box. See where that box is? We talked about this a long time ago. And we said at some point, we're going to get from all-time highs, we're going to top out. And then we're going to get, it doesn't just go straight down. You get these corrections and chopping action on the way down. It's not just one direction. So typically when you get these big falls, you get a 618 retracement in there and then you continuation. But we're going to go visiting the daily EMA. We're going to visit the weekly EMA. And Elizabeth's coming to join you, honey. We're going to go visit the monthly EMA. So keep those on your charts. Magic Fibbo, right there, magic Fibbo line. Keep those on your charts because that will come into pass. The only question is, do we go up and make all-time highs first, again, Maybe we get to this 62 area. And I made the statement a while back. We're definitely going to get to 62, 62.50 before we officially top in reverse and we have the big correction. Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. We're probably going to go up somewhere in that 64 to 66 range. What would that look like? If we do it now, then we're probably going to get the flush at least to the daily, probably a little bit deeper than the daily, bringing us to the weekly, to then give the last push as we go up into maybe 65, 66. Then we get the much bigger flush where we go down to the monthly magic fibbo line. So we're going to go ping pong in between the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. Okay? That's kind of the plan. And that's where the statement came from. Before we break 7,000, we're going to break 4,000. And my target's way down here. And that's where the monthly magic fibbo line is. Check out the last time we visited that. About 14 years ago was the last time we touched that monthly one. Back in, I think in 2011, over in this area. Yep. So back in 2011, and it's kind of thin line, you can't really see it that far back, but that's about the last time we touched this. Came close here in April of 20 with COVID. Came close, but we didn't touch it. And we've been on this tear. So this is why we need a technical picture for us to get a nice hardy retracement. And that's that magic fibbo line. And you can see right there, it's roughly in the below 4,000. That's my 34-ish right now, between 34 and 32. It is sloping upwards. So even as we start correcting, it's sloping upwards. It will continue to climb a little bit, but that's where I'm getting that 4,000 before we break. We're going to break below 4,000 before we break 7,000 to the upside. And on a weekly chart, I think we're probably going to maybe come down here after, do we go all-time highs, flush down here to yet one more all-time high to get into that 64, 66 range before then we flush down here towards the monthly magic fibbo line. So I do think last time we visited the weekly was here in 2023, almost there. So we're due to come back and say hello. You don't go too far before you go and visit the weeklies. And this one obviously broke the weekly. So at some point when we got Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey, we're going to break the weekly pretty substantially to come down somewhat similar to that. We're going to break the weekly and come all the way down to this 30-ish range. And that's where the monthly magic fibbo line is. Okay. What about the short term? Well, price has to prove itself in the short term. I definitely think we're going to reach the 62. Do we get there first before we get the bigger correction and start moving toward the weekly, then bounce off the weekly and go toward all-time highs once again? Well, so far, we're testing that 618 level from the prior high to low. It looked somewhat bullish, but look where we closed, right at the 618. We dip further. We're still below the 618. So, Emil, I'm not real bullish to get up here just yet until we get back above this resistance box. And when we do, then yeah, it's game on. We're going to 62, 62.50. I would be very careful if we do get this, that this is the little pullback. Actually, let me use this over here. This is the actual little pullback, and this will get us to 62 up here. Then I think we're due for a correction to come down near that 5,000 range, which is my weekly EMA, to then bounce and go up toward the upper 65, 66 range. Then we go down to the monthly. All right. So we're going to have a lot of volatility in the coming weeks and months while Doge starts to take over, all this cutting, all the different things go down, tariffs here and no tariffs, and all of that noise in the background. The markets are going to flush, still rebound to go to all-time highs yet again. Is that going to take us through second quarter, maybe through closer to the end of the year? Then we start flushing into next year. But over the next several months, expect a lot of volatility to the downside and to the upside. Everybody got the plan? Big bouncing basketball in here that we could possibly run up to 62, then come down to 5, then go up to 65, 66, then go down to 4. So there's a lot of activity in my horizons based on what I'm seeing on the charts. So are we going to get up here first and then start to decline? Or is this going to give us the flush first to finally reach the daily EMA to bounce to get to 62, then go down to the weekly to bounce and go to 65, 66, and then go down below 4,000. So hang in there. Be sure you're aggressively taking profits on these bounces, because once we get up here, I'm not looking for this just to go straight 62, 63, 64, 65, 66. I think we're going to get a lot of swings in here first before then we go topping and reversing. If I'm wrong, we continue to use the high to the low. And then when we break that resistance level, then we can start targeting this 62, 62.50. We're definitely, I repeat once again, we're going to hit this target. Do we flush, then get up there? Do we get up there, then flush? And I even said we'd go up here to 63.60 and maybe more. Yeah, maybe we get up to 65. But I kind of said, I think we're going to reach the 62, 62.50 and the 63.50, no matter how we slice it. And it's possible this could just rip up there first. Then we get the bigger flush and one last hoorah. But I'm kind of thinking this is kind of where we're going to have a top. And then we're going to get a flush down to the weekly Magic Fibbo, about 5,000-ish range. Then we're going to go up and top out one more time before then we flush down toward the monthly Magic Fibbo. All right, so we'll keep this on the charts, but right now, this overlapping chopping action, it's no man's land. From the high to the low, we're not breaking the 618 to say more upside. And from the low to the high, we're not breaking the 618 to the downside to say we're getting more downside just yet. We're stuck in between the two. So you expand that up, right, Harold? From this low to that high, we're holding this area. And from that high to this low, which is this new low now, from that high to the new low, we're holding the 618 to the upside. So I would definitely be more quick draw McGraw in my trading at the moment before we take long-term positions up or long-term positions down, force price to prove itself. But we've seen this before. You consolidate and force price. Are we going to break the 618 to the downside to open the door to come down here? Look where my 1448 target is. And you can't see it right there, but it's right below. It's sandwiching this daily Magic Fibbo line. So if we continue to close below that 618, not wicking it, but closing below, look where we closed up here, right at it. So even with this dip, we closed right at it. This dip, we were below, but we're still above. So if we can start closing below the 6,000, say 59.80, where that swing pointed, we come back to this low and start closing below that with a candle body, not a wick, then it sets the tone. We come in here before the bounce. And if we don't hold that, then we could go on lower toward the weekly and then get the last push. So I'm not saying we're not going to go to 62 now. It's possible we could just start ripping up there. Then we get the bigger correction and we rip the 65-ish, 66. Then we get the bigger one. But mark my words, we're going to visit the daily EMA. We're going to visit the weekly EMA. And before it's done, with Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey, we're going to visit the monthly EMA. And that's where we get below 4,000. All right? That's where that comes from in this target. That's why it's on the chart. Amen? So in closing, I still think we're going to go to 62, 62.50. Eventually, we might get a correction down and then go popping up to 64, 66 area. So I still think before this top and reversal is totally done, and Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey, and we come below 4,000, we will go on to make all-time highs a few more times. Amen? And I'm thinking not just, oh, what do you mean a few more times? Well, we're going to break all-time highs in maybe another day or two, and we just keep breaking all-time highs, and then that's it. I think it's more one of these, oh, new all-time high, a bigger flush, another all-time high, a bigger flush. Notice the box. That's the weekly EMA here, daily EMA up there on this same chart. So this is why I think we're going to go ping-ponging between these. Come down, bounce, make one more all-time high, then come down here and set the tone. And once we start doing this, it may be a while before we then go breaking all-time highs again. It could last years during this, Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. Any questions? So in the short term, go back to the daily. Force price to prove its intentions. Oh, we're going to go reach 62, 62.50 first. So far, so good. From the low to the high, we're holding that 618. That is still somewhat bullish. Even though from the high to the low latest correction, we haven't taken out the 618 to the upside. So set an alert. We start breaking above that, say, 6,080 area. That would be above that 618. Then I think we're going to go make a run towards 62. You can use the smaller scale, 61.98, 62.27. From this prior high to low, my 1448 is 62 and 62.50, which is what we've been talking about. Well, this is rinse and repeat, high to low. We got to get above that 618, not a wick, but a candle body. And notice when we wicked way up here the other day, where did we close? We closed back below. So it's still in trouble zone here. Are we going to do it? So if this can start closing above 66,080, maybe 6,100, we get 6,100, then we got a 100-point move. Okay? If not, and we flush down, then we're going to expect it's going to come visit at least the daily EMA. If that doesn't hold, probably going to get a deeper flush toward the weekly. Then we go up to the 63, 64, 65 area. So in the interim, be quick. If you're scalping, it's a good time to get your profits and get out. Get your profits and get out. Price proves itself and we break it. I will go on the thing. We're going to definitely reach 62, 62.50, even 63.60 area, if not higher. Here's my big resistance box up here. This is where, Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. When we start getting somewhere in this box, we're going to flush down to that monthly magic Fibbo line. But in the interim, we could get a little all-time high, then a flush down toward the weekly magic Fibbo, bounce to the new all-time high, then flush down to the actually monthly, which is again below that 4,000 way down here. All right. So let's see how long it takes for us to get to the weekly and how long it takes to get to the monthly. But this is more the Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey, from the 6,000 plus. We cut in half down in this area. What about NASDAQ? Again, it's kind of stuck between the two, the high and the low, struggling to break the 618 zone. We were testing it, failed, tested it again, failed. So is this going to be the one we break out, start moving towards 22.6, 22.8 area? Or do we get a flush down, then we go visit? So it's still the same kind of ping pong. Look at where this is on the daily. It's around the 20,500 area. The weekly is much further down around that 17, 16, 9, 17,000 range. And Elizabeth, when I'm coming to join you, honey, likely going to get a flush down toward the monthly. And this is scary. This is down around 10,000. Ouch. So NASDAQ could be flushed in half. Yeah, that's what's coming sooner than later, but no later than later. So see how often this comes in. It was back about 14 years ago, the last time we touched the monthly here, and kind of just sloping downward. Probably been even a little bit further, maybe 11-ish. Could have maybe touched it there. I don't know why it's not producing more of this. So I guess the monthly needs a lot more months to produce it further back, but it's been a while, to say the least. So we're due to come back and visit that monthly EMA. All right. So big picture, we're going to go visiting it. A lot shorter term, I still think we're going to break all-time highs again. And is it on this trip? On the weekly, we come down and then bounce. But this is kind of what I'm thinking. We're going to come down here when we finally top out and reverse. We're going to have this kind of big grind. And within these, it's not going to go, man, we're going to go from 22,000 down to about 14,000. Then we reverse at 14, 12,000, go back up to about 19,000. And it's a straight shot. Down, up, down. No, this is all stair-stepping, rally, stair-stepping, decline, stair-stepping. But this is ultimately where we're due to go sooner than later, but no later than later. All right, short term. There's my weekly. Here's my daily. Again, are we going to get this breakout now and go to all-time highs? Or we're going to get one more little flush? And so far, we're still testing that same zone. We got to clear this hurdle. So if I see price close above this swing point, game on to start targeting 22.2, 22.4, 22.6, 22, basically 8, 22.9. All right. If not, and we continue with this rejection, then we'll get a little bit deeper flush before then we go popping. I definitely still think we're going to get up here. I still think the NASDAQ is probably before we're done, going to go up toward that 23.5 area, maybe 24. Maybe we go extremely parabolic and get up here in the 24, 25 range. Before then, we go submerging much lower, but be careful. The big reversal is coming, especially when Janet Yellen said, we will never see another market crash in our lifetime. As soon as she said that, that was it. It's over. We're going to have it sooner than later because she said that. All righty. So in closing, let's force price to prove its intention. We kind of got to get above this swing point right around that 21.9. We just tested recently, 21.9. So if we can start getting above that, we're good to go, and we can look for more upside. We're definitely going to get up here. Hint, hint, hint. We are definitely, in my humble opinion, going to get up here and even higher before we're done. The only question is this corrective action an A, B, and we need a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish a little ABC, then we get it? Or do we go popping from here and get up there? When you get to 22.6, 22.8, I'd definitely be taking profits because I don't think we're just going to keep running and running and running and running and running and running. Then we top and go all the way down to that 10,000, 12,000 range. I think we're going to get some more big swings in here before we do something like that. But in the short term, you take out the swing point, we're going up. Amen. So, like I said earlier, between the high and the low, we're struggling in that 618, 786 zone. The recent high to low still struggling, and we haven't from the recent low to high. We haven't been able to close below the 618. Big wick, we didn't do it. Wick, we didn't do it. Other day, wick, we didn't do it. So it's more bullish in the short term because it's holding, but it's still bearish because we haven't taken out the swing point. So I don't like trading when I'm stuck between resistance and support. You can maybe scalp it up and down, but I like to see a break. And when it breaks, then I know where I'm shooting for. 22.2, 22.4, 22.6, maybe 22.8. But I'm thinking if we can get up here, we're due for a bigger flush before we then go on to 23, 24, etc. Okay? All right. Well, what about the QQQ? Well, again, from the prior high to low, we're still bogging down in that same area. We tried to break that 618, we didn't do it. Close below. Now we're bouncing again. This is from a slight higher low, which is somewhat bullish, certainly from this low, but we still need to close above this swing point. We rejected from that. So we can start to close above that 530 area, then game on, start targeting 542, 550. Any questions? In the interim, if we're doing QQQ, I'd personally prefer to see a flush first. I mean, that's why I know in the future when we get these flushes, I'm looking to buy. Then we flush down to the weekly EMA, I'm looking to buy. Then when we flush down to the monthly EMA, I'm really looking to buy. So I'm thinking more volatile than just a slow, methodical climb for us to finally top and reverse, than a continuation of a slow, methodical, without any big variances, just straight down to that monthly EMA. Then we start doing it. More volatile, especially with what's all going on. So in short, the long of it, we close above 530. We go long for a good 12 to 15 points area, 12 to 17 points. Actually, what is it? Yeah, 17 from 530 to 550 area. Got it? So is it going to be now and then we get the flush, or do we flush and then we get it? But expect some ping ponging. If we get up here, we're going to flush down, then we're going to go and make another high, and then we're going to get the big. So I'm kind of thinking that we're going to go in tune with the crypto bull cycle ending, and crypto starts going into crypto winter. Our markets start giving the Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. That's kind of what we said beginning of the year. We would go on all-time new highs. We've done that, but I don't think this is the top and reversal yet. I think we do have more upside before it's over, and then we're going to get it. Russell, still struggling, although this latest flush the other day is at a higher low. So maybe we do go rallying a little bit more, but this is still struggling. We're still at a lower descending, lower highs trend line. We're still testing all that. So maybe we got to flush down here before we go breaking out, but it's going to do similar. That we're going to get a lot of variance in here. Do we flush first before we go breaking out? Do we go breaking out to flush to one more time with the big one? We shall see. Amen? Any questions? So IWM, I would love for it to flush down in here into the lower 200s, maybe upper 190s. Then I would be salivate country. Otherwise, what did we do? We came back to test the magic Fibbo line. We're bouncing. So Emil, from the high to the low, we still got to get above this 226. Because we stopped in our tracks right at 230 multiple times, once, twice, three times. That's why I'm thinking that I want to see more than close above 226. I want to see us close above that 230. When that happens, then I can start targeting my 236, 240, maybe this 250 over here. Okay? So force price to prove its intention. The bullishness is from the low to the high, we have a 618 bounce. See that? Right there. From that low to that high, we got a 618 combo meal bounce. We hit the magic Fibbo. Remember I was saying we're going to go down here? Well, we finally did. And now we're bouncing. So what does that mean? We start closing above 230. Then we start targeting 236, 240, maybe 250. If not, and we fizzle out and don't break the 618, and we get this flush down here, then I salivate to buy it down there. Okay? Nikkei's just been going sideways. Still not breaking out to the upside, still not breaking out to the downside. We're just kind of stuck. Sideways chop. This is global liquidity. So I really would like to see, and I do think at some point, remember those big swings I was talking about, this thing is going to flush, then it's going to rally, then it's going to flush, maybe end up somewhere in this 45-ish, maybe 50 up here before we get the big one. So let's see if we get some more volatility. Key is we start breaking above this 40,000 and change where we tested multiple times. Game on to start going to 44, 45. But we got to clear this hurdle. And if we don't, then we have this downside pressure. Actually can move that up just to, let me put it there and I'll move it. Move him up a little bit. I want to move this line. There we go. I'll move that line up right in this area. So we're sandwiched between support and resistance. This is global liquidity. So till we get a big pop, then I think we're going to get a run toward all-time highs if this one can do it. And if not, we're going to get the flush, then this is going to lead breaking lower. And we could get the flush, then the pop, then the big one. But let's watch this. Let's see how this plays out accordingly. So, Mr. Tucson, what if the ES and those rally up and this rallies back to this area? Then they hit those 60, 6,200, 6,250. Then we get the flush down toward the weekly. And then we go popping toward the all-time highs again. Then we go popping down toward the monthly. We'll see how this plays out. But check out the Nikkei, where the weekly's located. Down around the lower 30s. And then the monthly, way down there. Not enough on here to show me where the monthly would be. So not enough data on this Nikkei here. What about this one? A little bit. So it's right around 25,000. And then the weekly is right around that 34,000. We actually touched it during that big sell-off when the carry trades were unwinding. So I think we're going to get a flush down here. Maybe we do that like the rest of the market. Maybe we get a flush, retest this to bounce and then get up to these area before we get the big one. We shall see. Amen. We shall see. But I do use this as global liquidity. All right, Dan, what about black gold Texas T? And let's go to the daily so I can show you current price action. And I kind of warned you that this would probably, if we can't hold 75, we go to 73. Well, we've been testing this. This looks like we want to go down. So unless this holds and it's just a wick, then it's possible we could still go rallying. But this is not looking good where it's testing from the underside of the magic Fibbo line, testing it to the upside. And even when we tried to break out, look where we closed, back below. So this is setting up a flush down here around 60. And if 60 doesn't hold, we can even go down about this 50 range that I put on that chart a long time ago. So be careful with black gold. Maybe we get the flush down here. Then we could go long. But this is not looking real bullish to the upside. Where it was bullish, it instantly turned not so bullish. And as you zoom in, we're below the magic Fibbo line on the daily chart. That is not extremely bullish right now. Amen? And we're testing it. So any rallies at this point, I think you can sell them because I think we're going to go lower. We're coming back toward the 66, 65. And if we don't hold this 65 zone, we're going to flush toward 60. And if we don't hold that, then we're flushing down here toward the lower 50s, maybe 50 range. Got it? So here's your targets. Hopefully you didn't hear that big sneeze, but I think I muted it in time. But so far, from the prior low to high, we're still kind of hanging right around this area. But if we can't break back above this swing point, then it's more downside. And if this holds, so far so good, it's holding this zone. So if we start closing below this swing point here, Ian, you see price close below that swing point there, it's over. We're going to target 66, 65, then 60. If that doesn't hold, then we start targeting upper from the lower 50s down to maybe 50-ish. Kind of thinking 50. These two targets, 60, then 50 are in my zone. And if we can't start breaking this swing point high, then we're coming down. All right. So if that happens, what if we get a close below here? Any rally should be sold and expect a good push towards 60 if we can close below that swing point. If we close above this swing point, then we're going to start targeting 82, 83. So it's kind of at the breaking point, like the rest of the market. We're stuck between a 618 hold on the bottom side going up, and we're stuck between a 618 on the rally side of going higher. So what's it going to be, up or down? I'm leaning a little bit more bearish. Why? Because we're below the magic Fibbo line on a daily. That is not bullish. And we didn't hold my 75 target. We didn't hold the 73. We went to 70. Now, do we hold that? If not, if the answer is no, it's over, and continue to sell rallies till we get down to about 60. And if that doesn't hold, then down to about 50. And if we're down at that level, perfect time to go long for a nice big hearty bounce again. What about the software? Get this out of the way. Actually, I got to get rid of my pen. Get rid of that pen. Then come down here to the software. We can see why we're going to be bullish after we get a big sell-off, because the time frames are aligning for a big surge As my weekly's engaging over, remember what I said, if this disengages, then we're going to go back to high and make new high. If not, we continue to go lower like the last time, then we're going to make new lows and start heading towards 60. My daily, it's still pushing lower. So this is why I'm not convinced we're ready to go popping and breaking out just yet. We hadn't even finished the cycle. And my weekly has a hook and a pinch. So I'm gonna watch this closely. Do we get the PAI hook and cross like we did over here? Started slingshotting lower. We got a slope, angle separation. And what happened? We drifted much lower. So the same is likely to happen here. That's why I'm watching this all important 618 level. Do we hold to go higher, or do we disengage and go higher? Or do we continue to push lower? I still think there's more downside till at least the daily gets oversold. All right. And look where money flow is. Not quite finished yet. So charting platform, I should say, is as long as we're below the magic Fibbo, bearish. We're still holding from the prior low to high, still holding the support zone, barely. But let's see where we close today. And we close below the magic Fibbo line, and you see us start taking out this swing point low, it's over. 66, 65, done deal. If not, so you can just hedge your bets here. Do we break, go higher? Do we break, go lower? In the interim, I'm not real bullish about breaking out. I'm not extremely bearish about going down so much. I am more bearish than bullish because we're below the magic Fibbo, but I still want to see price prove itself. So even if this doesn't hold today and we start closing below that swing point, the writing's kind of on the wall. Otherwise, we go ripping, then by all means, we can start targeting 82, 83. Any questions? What's it going to be? I'm leaning this way more than that way until price proves otherwise. And when do we go full-blown bull? We start closing back above that 77 area, the 618. Then we have 75% chance we go into 82, 70 plus we go into 83. But being below the magic Fibbo and no type of big run toward a 618 testing it at this point, that's why I'm leaning more bearish than bullish at the moment. Okay. What about the gold bugs? Look at gold. Mr. Tucson, who could have guessed? Who could have thought? Who could have anticipated we're going to 28.30, push up toward 28.60? We'll probably get a last push toward that 29 area. And if we can get to 29, it's time to take some profits. Look at what the CTAs are doing. This is a gold model trend following the algos, trading algos, not a certified trading. This is the trading algos. Look at their projected 5-day bear case. Not really going down, kind of holding line. Neutral case. See the purple barely sticking out right there, but it's bullish. And then the 5-day bull case, bullish. So when I see bear case and neutral case still being relatively positive, that's why I think gold's going to continue to run, Mr. Tucson, toward that 2,900-ish. Maybe we can get to 3,000, but if we get to that 29-ish target, I think we're going to get a pullback. And this is over the next 5 days, so we move toward next week, February 13th. I think gold's going to continue to climb. Amen? Gold's going to continue to climb. So, for those of you that may have gotten back into Newmont on the bounce, I'm going to be looking to take profits yet again. I think this is going to rally just a little bit more, but if gold gets the big flush, this thing could flush again, And I'm not going to get real bullish on this till we start breaking above $50 up here again. But remember that beautiful trade? We talked about this, bought a 30 call, 60 call options way out of the money when we're at 30 bucks. We went up here, unbelievable trade. Now this correction, is this over? Maybe, but I kind of bought the dip, and this is a nice rally from there. And I'm thinking gold's got a little bit something left into it. And if we hit that 29, 3,000 target, be a good time to take profits off, because then I think gold's going to have a big pullback, and this too will have a pullback. But we're bottom 30, we're almost $10 off the bottom. I think that's where I'm looking for this to go, start breaking the magic Fibbo line, go a little bit more, but I think it's going to struggle as we start to get toward 46, 47. I'm really not looking for this to go breaking out just yet. So I don't think this is just going tearing straight up like it did last time. I think this is part of a correction, and we're probably going to get one more flush, and we can get another big flush. Then I could look for buying again, but I did buy that little nibble. So I'm going to look to close this very soon when gold gets to that 2,900 level. And then hopefully that when gold flushes, this will flush, and I can get back in at these lows. And long term, I do think we're going to go on much higher, right? Long term, years out, based on this high to low, we still got to reach that target, right? That's why I took profits up there, right at that 618 retracement. So we got a rejection. We're at a higher low, but if we can start closing back above that 618, then we can start targeting 99, 100. And I think long term, 26, 27, 28, gold's going to continue to climb. This will continue to climb. The higher gold prices get, the more profitable these companies become. But this is long term. I can't say it's 26, 27, 28, or is it next decade before we get up here. But I did like this move, and it went right to the 618. That's why I kind of put out there, Emil, let's do a 60 call option, because we should probably rally and do a 618 retracement at least. And that's exactly what we did. So this latest bounce, I'm going to be sure to take profit because we are below the magic Fibbo line. We're going to be testing it. And I think gold, again, if it tops and reverses like we're thinking, then we're probably going to see another pullback. And yes, based on the algos, I'm going to give it a few more days and let gold continue. But look at it. It's going, what's next? 2860. Do we continue? Yeah, we start getting up towards 29. These extensions up here, 29, 29 and change. That'll be a good time because we may need gold to roll over to give us a correction, especially with the CTAs all leaning more bullish, right? Get that last little pop, and when they go too far-fetched one direction, time for a correction. All right. So a little bit more based on the CTAs and all buying, bearish, neutral, all is still bullish. That's why I think we said earlier from that high to low, we closed above that 618, we would get here. Look at where we are. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. High to low, we closed above that 618, way back a few times, still had to get dips in there, and look at that run. Beautiful, straight to the target. So hint, 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 still think there's more upside. We are going to get a big correction after we hit that 29, maybe 3,000 range. We're due for a big correction. Would not be surprised to see that type of correction come back toward the daily magic Fibbo right there. That's why I'm going to take profits up here and look for another opportunity after the pullback. Any questions on that? What about silver? Silver is struggling. broke the trend line. We still got to get above that 32 range. But I think this is a wrapped coil that toward the tail end of the bullish run, and I'm not trying to tell you, Mr. Tucson, that the bullish run, when we top out and get a correction, that's the end of the gold run. No, I think the gold rush is still going to continue for years longer, and we're going to go to 3,000 and above. But I'm just warning that when we start to get up to those extensions, we're due for a bigger correction. Amen. Kind of like when we did this run, we needed a correction. Now we got this run, we're due for a correction. Okay. And silver, toward the tail end of the bull run, is when silver goes berserk. So I wouldn't be surprised to see silver just go ripping sooner than later. And we could talk about that all day long. I like looking at SLV from that much higher picture because it opens the door to much more upside. And that is, we already closed above that 618. So the inevitability, silver goes to 60, SLV in this case, goes to 60 is a 75% chance. 75% chance we're going to more than double to get up here. Well, the only question is it a day, a week, a month, a year, multiple years? That's the tough part. I don't think it's going to happen in a day. I don't think it's going to happen in a week. I don't think it's going to happen in a month. But over the next few years, do I think we're going to get up here? You betcha. So if you're worried about, well, time decay and when do I go out? I was going to use options. I'd have to go out as far as I possibly could. Otherwise, just buy shares and sell them when they get up here. But that's where we're ultimately headed on silver, SLV. And yes, this thing's going to go ballistic at some point. Do one of these type of things. Is it this week, next month, next year? We shall see. But it's got the feeling of a coiled spring ready to go popping any minute. And eventually, as we go through the next months and years, we should definitely make this target up here. Highest probability from the high to the low. We closed above that 618 all over in this area, and we're still above that 618 level right now. So that's just screaming we're going at a 1448 at 60, 72. Got it? Silver's a good investment to buy and hold, and it should go ripping. And silver typically during summer starts to rally a bit when India starts getting married. There's billions of people over there, hundreds of thousands of weddings, and they love silver. So silver consumption goes up, tech uses it, all kind of thing. So this is why we're going here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, end of the decade, whatever, it's going up here. Not a bad buy and hold scenario. There is a little fee, like I told you, come down here in the technical, little fee for owning this ETF, but that's okay. It'll far exceed the little fee you pay when we get up here and more than double where we currently reside. All right. So any big dips should be bought long term. Amen. All right. What else? Crypto, baby. Was this the flush? Yeah, we got a big flush. Let me zoom in on this. Kind of warned you we needed a flush. Is this the end? It is at a higher low. Still got to break out above this zone. So I'm watching this closely. I do think Bitcoin's going to go to 150, 175. Next stop should be somewhere around this 120 area. So when do we break out? Do we need yet another flush? Remember I told you Ethereum needed a flush? Look at that flush. Kind of needed a new low. We didn't quite get it off of that climbing scenario, but I did say we definitely need a new flush below these lows. We got that. Do we need one more? I'm watching this closely. Are we ready to go breaking out, or do we flush? This is looking, other than the close, right, from the low to the high, we're right at that 618 level. Look at the big rejection wick, and even today, we're right at it. So I'm watching this closely, because if we start closing below candle body, then it starts setting the tone. We're going a little bit lower, which could mean we come down here. One more flush below this swing point. If that happens, then we can get a good deal. I did buy some of my ETHU at pending order filled, and I added some to my mix right there. When it flushed down below, I think I got filled at 391 or whatever it was. What was the low here? 395, something like that. The low went to, if I can get my cursor on there, went to 390. See, I think I got filled at about 395, adding some more of these. So is this the end? Maybe. That was the flush I was looking for. Could this be the end and we start breaking out? Maybe. Ethereum got the flush. I can't say it's a done deal that that's it, but I'm still looking for Ethereum to go breaking out when Bitcoin does its thing. I think this is going to pull all ships with it. Not all too. Did you see the latest numbers on these crazy things? Let's see if I have it. Here it is. Yeah, I do have it open. Is this insane? You may remember we had like 3.24 million cryptos. Look how many now. 10 million. Now, you think every 10 million of those cryptos, the vast majority of that is trash. Absolute, just looking to take advantage, steal your money, and run. So I would not be investing in 10 million cryptos. The big dogs are Ethereum and Bitcoin. Over 70% of the entire market is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And there are some ones like Solana and some of those others we've been talking about that I like a lot. But this is where, because when you talk about 10 million, it's insane. Absolutely insane. But I don't think this ship is over yet. I think we're going to get the big push. Amen? So looking at that, come back over here to where we were. Could this be the end, that last flush? That might have been it. Emil, that could be it, but we got to start breaking this downtrending lower high trend line. And then more importantly, from the bigger perspective, we got to break this 4,000. But this might have been the flush we needed in order for this thing to go breaking out to new highs. So I'm watching this closely. That latest flush, fine, but we still got to start closing above this 2830 area. And from the low to the high, I like closing above that 2830 area, because that's saying we're holding that 618 retracement, and the door could be ajar, obviously, to start breaking out. The critical level is this 4,000 up here that we've tested numerous times. But also on a bearish side of the note, we're well below the magic fibbo. I don't like that. I do like the flush and the big rejection so far, but we still need to see some more upside. So from the bigger picture here, let me take some of these off. From the bigger picture here, from the prior high to this new low, we got a long way to go to get up above this 3,400 area. Set the tone for 444, 46, 5,000. So watch this close. We need to get back above the EMA. Notice how the EMA, the magic fibbo line, is always around those 618s. Seems like it's always involved. So in this case, we got to break above the magic fibbo and clear this, say 34, says 33.5 and change. So somewhere around that 34. Why 34? Look at this rejections. Test, 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 test. So we start to see Ethereum rally to above 3,400, then it's game on. 44, 46, 53. But I do want to see it break back above the magic fibbo line and start to clear this 33.6 area. Then we can start talking about a breakout. That might have been it, that flush. Maybe it's over. Or maybe we need one last little flush, but be careful. It will be volatile. It's going to be a very volatile ride. Once we do break the EMA, the trend line, and the 618, that's the 4,000 range up there, the 3,400 range, sorry. And when we do that, then it's game on. So force price to prove itself. And like I just showed you, we did get one of my fills down here. I still have some junks even lower in case we get one more. But we did make a new low on this ETHU slightly, but that might be it. Maybe we start taking off now. Either way, I'm looking to take advantage of this. As Bitcoin runs to its target, I will be closing this ETHU, my Bitcoin, my Mara. I'll be closing all of those. When Bitcoin gets at that 150, 175 or higher range, when it starts getting up there, time to start unloading. And then we wait 4 years, not 4 years from the current time, but as we get into 2025 crypto highs, maybe mid-year to maybe as late as October, then we can start closing out all those crypto plays. And then what? Wait for the big correction. And when we get the big correction post winter, as we go into 2026, maybe late 26, early 27, before the next crypto halving in 2028, we then buy low and sell high. That's the plan. Buy low, sell high, and the high is not there yet. I still think this baby's going much higher before we're done. And last but not least, I'm going to show you what I meant to show you last week about NinjaTrader. I kind of got so excited about the markets, I forgot to tell you. But Emil, I don't know if you know this. I'm going to show you in just 1 second. But as we talk about this, when Bitcoin finally breaks out again and it starts getting up to this 120, 120,000 range and higher, that's when your miners go insane. What do you mean by that? That's when the miners just go ripping. When they get to the point where it becomes extremely profitable and based on the crypto, halving event, and the price gets up in this 115, 120-ish range, I think that's when Mara and our miners are going to go ripping. Let me move this over here. Mara, Riot, Bitto, BTBT, etc. Any questions on that? So watch what happens when price starts to hit about 120,000. That should unleash the beast in these, and they should start running. Especially my Mara, my BTBT, Bitto. I think we're going to see a nice run on those. Amen? When what? We see Bitcoin hit the 120, 130 area, look out. That's when they should take a run. And we could see history on that when Bitcoin at the last halving started to surpass a profit range and made its big run. When we started to get to that run around that end of the year, that January going into the final pop, actually was over here. I'm on a daily chart. But when we started topping out this big run over here from early the year it topped in 2021 to later 21, see that? So that early part, that's when these Bitcoin went ripping and it got to that profit margin. And then the crypto miners went insane during that same period. So watch that. I mean, it's going to be a fun day watching Mara and those things go berserk when Bitcoin finally starts hitting that 115, 120 range. Go back to the last halving over here. And when did it take off? It was 2021 top and reversal to the 2022-ish bottom reversal. This is the crypto bull run in that 2020, 2021, right? And when did it go its biggest berserk move? Boom. Between that early months, the first quarter, second quarter, boom. Even went out to late as third quarter, almost in the almost the end of the year, into November. But this is why I think these are going to really start running. And this really took place when Bitcoin reached its profit margin, and that new profit margin, in my humble opinion, is this right here when Bitcoin hits about that 120 area. Any questions on that? So needless to say, once we finally start getting up in this zone up here, our crypto miners should go rampant. That's the plan anyway. Now, NinjaTrader, go over here to Control Center. Guess what they finally did? We have a new release. I don't know if you saw this the other day, 8.1.4.1. Got the new release. And in that new release, under connections, finally, Emil, they got the Schwab. Those of you, we had TD Ameritrade, Harold and others, I think had TD Ameritrade. Well, now you can connect your Schwab. You see it's connected. So how do you do that? You have to update to the newest version if you haven't already done so, and that is 8.1.4.1. It's a 64-bit, but there's your release number. When you update the latest version, you then can come under connections, go under configure, and then the drop down, there's a Schwab. It's still beta, but I was able to connect. So you'll highlight on that, you'll fill out your login information, and you can see I'm connected now. And I have a Schwab connection, green. Yay, finally. Woohoo. So those of you that had TD Ameritrade and could no longer get your, it has a 10-minute delay. All of Schwab's data right now is 10-minute delay. Thanks. I wasn't aware of that. I was just so proud to see I could connect this back up. I think that's part of the beta scenario. They're making sure it's working. And then they can, I'm sure when the beta comes off, they'll have regular, but at least it's still a connection. Connection's better than no connection. All right. So back over here, I will have a new update coming with this as well. I know you just installed one recently, but I'm going to have another new update. And hopefully by then the Schwab will be past the beta range and be true and running without a 10-minute delay. And then we'll have another update to do with the console. I'm working on some updates in security. So there's going to be another update. So I'll let everybody know that you're using NinjaTrader. Right now, you're welcome to go ahead and download if you haven't done the newest one that I put on the website. That one includes the tools. When you go under drawing tools, you have the MPA Fibonacci retracements, extensions. So when we do that, you can see this will be available if you haven't already installed it. From the high to the low, bingo, you got your 1448, you got your 1272, you got your 161, etc. extensions like we always talk about. So when this TCOM bounced off the magic Fibbo, closed above that $50 range, it was high probability it was going to go to 61, 64 and potentially move on to 71. It's done that. Now the latest move, not that I'm just looking at this one, remember the markets are going to have a big correction coming sooner than later. So I click on that, then I can remove it and do this latest move is still looking bullish based on this. That's a weekly, but looking at my drawing tool, look at where we are, Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low. We're starting to close above that $70 range. So my target's up here at 76 and 80. Maybe we continue toward 86. Just looking at this TCOM doing well. Big weekly bounce. Check out the daily and stretch that out a little bit. We can see this close was right at it. So today's close, if we close above, which we certainly did right there, we're going where? 78, basically 79 and 81. Highest of highest probability, TCOM is grinding its way toward this target. Like it did the last one, rinse and repeat. We reached the 1618 even. Well, now the pullback, I wish it would have hit the magic Fibbo line, but it came close and boom, game on. For your target at 79, 81, maybe we go as high as 86. But this is available for you. So let's finish up, call it a day. I do think that there is definitely more upside on Solana. Came back to the magic Fibbo line to bounce as Bitcoin goes ripping. I think these are all going to go ripping. The big time, higher time frame, I still think we're getting up here as we already reached the 1618 on a prior high to low. This latest move, we can do the same. Come over here. Let me remove some of these. There's too many on here. But set the tone for this latest correction. If this flushes over, then from this swing point high to this swing point low, we start getting above 260, 258. What is that? 250. Sorry, I thought that was a 6. 250. Say 251. Start closing above 251. We can start targeting 312, 327. And that bigger picture, I still think we're going up here to 330, 370. Maybe we start popping to 4 to 6 range, 470 to 6 range. 530, sorry. 470 to 530 range. So this is looking good. Fibbo bounce, Fibbo bounce. So far, so good. Latest close, we go a little higher. We're going to start targeting the 312 and then 350. And we start getting through this zone, then we could potentially start seeing that zone. So Emil, I like Solana a lot. So we get the next crypto low. Look at that move. From last year's crypto low to where we're ultimately going to top out somewhere in the mid threes, if not higher. Long way to go. From $7, or yeah, about $7, $8, all the way to 300 and something. So you know why Solana is on my target? I own this in I Trust Capital, my retirement account, that when we finally top out and we close and we have the 2026 crypto winter and prices come plummeting down all the way, and you kind of thinking, well, 2028. So that pushes us. I guess we got to go to a weekly, kind of bring in the dates. And we start to see that 2028. Let me stretch it now this way. Here's my 2028 halving coming in this zone. So we got another halving over here. So Harold, when we get up in the 300 plus 400, God knows where it's going to end up when this takes off, but you know when to sell. When Bitcoin's at that 150, 175 or higher, it's time to sell as we get into mid to late year this year and crypto tops. Then we get the crypto winter as we go through what? 2026. And we'll look either late 26, early 27 to look for a bottom reversal. And when we get that, maybe we'll be buying Solana at 60 bucks. I don't know. We'll see how far it goes down. We got to see how high it's going to go before how low it's going to get. But that's when back in this late 26, early 27, I want to see where Solana is. And if it's anywhere near where we think it might be, but wherever it is, I'm going to look to start nibbling and buying some more Solana. And then post 2028 halving, we'll then look to sell it into mid to late 2029 again. And how high is it going to be then? I don't know. Let's see how high we get this year, how low we get into 2026. Like I'm saying, then we'll look to start nibbling. But if you'd have nibbled down in here, imagine. That was what we were discussing. Get these low. When crypto starts to bottom, is the perfect time to start nibbling on some crypto. And then boom. So where are we going? I think we're definitely going in the mid to high threes before we're done. If not, start pushing 4, maybe even 5. I wouldn't be shocked when this baby surges, it goes to 1,000. I don't know. But I was able to get in low and I'm looking to get out at a high price, then rinse and repeat as we get into 2026, start getting the crypto winter low, maybe early 27, and we start nibbling again for the next bull run. Any questions on that? Any questions? So in closing, Bitcoin, when it gets to the 120 target, this is the bigger picture. And we definitely think we're going up here to that 175. Every time Bitcoin had a halving, Bitcoin at least did a 1618 retracement. From the prior crypto high to the crypto winter low, we always went to a 1618, right? Every time. Prior time before that, from the crypto winter high to low, went to the 1618 here. And where did we go? Right there. Right to it. See it, arrow? And the time before that, keep going back, these halving, this time we exceeded it, went up to the 272. So every time we had a crypto high to crypto low, Bitcoin is at least done a 1618 retracement. And this one did a 272. This one, 1618. This one, 1618 is where? 175. So this is why I'm so confident it's going to get there. And in closing, circling the wagons, when Bitcoin hits that 120, and we go back to the daily, when Bitcoin hits that 115, 120 level, arrow right up in here, let me zoom in and bring this down, stretch it. I can bring this into perspective. When Bitcoin finally makes the pop and makes a run, and we start to see it in that 115, 120-ish level, that's when our miners should go insane based on profit margins, etc. And that should be in the next few months. All right, I think Bitcoin in the next few months is going to be up here. Only question is this overlapping chopping? Do we need another flush first? Maybe our market's flush like I was talking about. We go flushing, Bitcoin flushes yet again, then we get the run. Or is this ready to go breaking out now? It's going to get real fun watching these Mara, Bitto, and these others, miners, actually they're up here, watching these babies run when Bitcoin starts getting up here. And the fun part would probably be as we probably run up here, we'll get some sort of pullback. Maybe we come back to that 108 area, 105, 108 breakout zone. So when we finally break it, we should run up here. We might get a little pullback here before the next big run. When price starts hovering in this zone and higher, that one's going to go ballistic. I think Riot's going to run, Bitto, any of these miners are going to go running big time. Amen. But you know the plan regardless. When Bitcoin gets that 150 to 175 or higher, time to sell, time to sell, time to sell, time to sell. And then we'll hold on to see, will all of these still be available? Will Mara still be around? Will Riot, Bitto, BTBT, will all of these still be around as we go through the crypto winter low into 2026, maybe early 27? If they're still around and still trading volumes, etc., and we'll look to buy some lows again and make the big runs like we did this year and we're still doing. Okay? So with that, I'll say good luck. God bless you. May the pips be with you. I'm humbled and honored to be your mentor and instructor. Keep a keen eye on black gold Texas tea because, again, unless we can start closing back above this swing point, then game on to go higher. Otherwise, if we keep downtrodden below this magic Fibbo line, we're probably going to get the flush. So, Dan, if you're going long on any of these, take aggressive profits because this is more bearish than bullish at the moment because we're below the magic Fibbo and we need to take out this little swing point. We do that, then it's game on to go higher. Otherwise, we start fading here. We take this low out. We don't hold this support zone and we take it out. Then we're going flushing. All right. So with that, take care. God bless you. We love and appreciate you. That's it. And that's all. We'll see you tomorrow.